All right, get ready, because we're about to take a whirlwind tour through 1,000 years of Indian history. We're diving deep into the medieval period, an incredible age of invasions, jaw-dropping empires, and a cultural mashup that literally shaped the India we know today. So here's the big question we're going to try and answer. How did this millennium of conflict, creativity, and fusion actually forge modern India's identity? To figure that out, well, we have to start at the very beginning.
And here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the first raiders, move on to the powerful Delhi Sultanate, then take a detour to the great empires of the south. After that, we hit the peak with the Mughals, and finally, we'll look at how it all unraveled and what it left behind.
Okay, so let's rewind the clock to the 11th and 12th centuries. India's wealth was legendary, and it acted like a giant magnet for Turkish invaders from Central Asia. But here's the thing. They came with two totally different mindsets, and that difference, well, it changed everything.
This is where you see a huge shift in ambition. First up, you have Mahmud of Ghazni. This guy was a raider, pure and simple. He swept into India 17 times just to loot, sacking famous temples for their treasure. But then comes Muhammad Ghori. He wasn't just after a quick payday. He was playing the long game. He wanted to stay, to conquer, to build an empire. And so much of this history really hinges on one single critical battle. Get this, in 1191, Ghori actually lost to the Rajput king Prithvi Raj Chauhan. He had to retreat, but he didn't give up. He came back a year later, and the Second Battle of Touraine was a total game changer. Ghori won, and that victory just blew the doors wide open for Turkish rule in India.
So Ghori's victory laid the groundwork. After he died, one of his top generals, a man named Qutbuddin Aibak, took over his Indian territories. And just like that, he kicked off the Delhi Sultanate, an empire that would rule for over 300 years, cycling through 5 different dynasties. And let me tell you, power in Delhi was a revolving door. It started with the Mamluk dynasty, and yep, Mamluk means slave. These were former slaves who rose to become generals and then kings. They were followed by the Khiljis, the Tughlaqs, the very brief Sayyid dynasty, and finally the Lodis. It was a constant whirlwind of shifting power. Now, Aibak may have founded the Sultanate, but historians often call Iltutmish its real founder. So why is that? Well, because he was the one who actually built it into something solid. He secured the borders, he brought in a genius administrative idea called the Ikta system, and oh yeah, he managed to stop Genghis Khan's Mongol armies from steamrolling his new kingdom. No big deal, right? Next, you've got Alauddin Khilji, a military mastermind who was not afraid to shake things up. He wanted something new. A massive professional army that was always ready to fight. The problem, as always, was money. How do you pay for it? His solution was audacious. He basically fixed the price of everything in the market to keep his army supplied. It was a radical and pretty ruthless piece of economic control. But like all great powers, the Sultanate's time was running out. The end finally came in 1526 on the battlefield of Panipat. The last Sultan, Ibrahim Lodi, found himself facing a new challenger from Central Asia named Babur. And Babur brought something new to the party: gunpowder and cannons. His victory wasn't just the end of an empire, it was the dawn of a whole new age.
Now, hold on. While all that drama was going down in the north, a completely different story was unfolding in the south. The Deccan Plateau was its own world, dominated by 2 massive rival empires, locked in a struggle that would last for centuries. Think of it like 2 heavyweight champions in one ring. In one corner, you had the incredible Vijayanagara Empire, a vibrant center of Hindu art and culture. And in the other corner, its arch-nemesis, the Bahmani Sultanate. For almost 200 years, these 2 giants clashed, mostly over a super fertile and valuable strip of land between them called the Raichur Doab.
Every great empire has a golden age, and for Vijayanagara, it was absolutely the reign of Krishnadeva Raya. This guy was the whole package, a brilliant general and a huge supporter of the arts. Travelers who came from all over the world to his capital city wrote that it was one of the most stunning places they had ever seen. But you know how these stories often go. The Golden Age couldn't last forever. In 1565, the Bahmani Sultanate's successor states did something clever. They put their rivalries aside and teamed up. At the Battle of Talakota, they dealt a devastating blow to Vijayanagara. The great city was destroyed, and even though the empire limped on, its glory days were over.
Okay, let's zoom back north. Remember Babur, the guy with the cannons who defeated the Delhi Sultanate? Well, his victory wasn't just an ending, it was the beginning of something huge, something that would become one of the most famous and powerful empires in the world, the Mughal Empire.
You can really tell the story of the Mughals through its greatest emperors. Babur was the founder who brought the military tech. His grandson, Akbar, was the genius administrator who actually built the empire. Then came Shah Jahan, who gave it its architectural golden age. And finally, there was Aurangzeb, who expanded the empire to its absolute breaking point.
So what was Akbar's secret sauce? It was this revolutionary system he created called Mansabdari. Here's how it worked. Every single official, military or civil, was given a rank. That rank determined their salary and how many soldiers they had to provide for the army. It was a brilliant way to keep everyone loyal and the empire running like a well-oiled machine.
Let's be honest, when you hear the word Mughal, for many of us, the first thing that comes to mind is breathtaking architecture, and for that you can thank Shah Jahan. His reign was the undisputed peak of Mughal building, and his masterpiece, of course, is the one and only Taj Mahal, a stunning monument to love that still mesmerizes the world today.
But here's the tragic irony. At its absolute largest, the empire was also starting to crack. Aurangzeb became obsessed with conquering the south. For 27 long years, he poured money and soldiers into this endless, draining war. It's often called the Deccan ulcer, a wound that just bled the empire dry and from which it never really recovered.
And that brings us to our final chapter. After Aurangzeb, the massive Mughal Empire began to fracture. But this story isn't just about collapse. It's really about what was left behind. The echoes of this entire thousand-year period are still deeply woven into the fabric of India today.
Because beneath all the battles and politics, something really profound was happening culturally. This one line from the poet Kabir just says it all. Allah and Ram are the same. This came from popular movements, Sufi and Bhakti saints, who were teaching that what really mattered was a shared love for God, a path that could unite everyone. And you can literally still see and feel this legacy all around you. It's in the incredible architecture, the systems of administration that later rulers copied, in the beautiful Urdu language, which is a blend of Persian and local tongues, and even in military strategy. It's all a direct inheritance from this era.
And so, we've come full circle. It's an incredibly complex story of rise and fall, of art and war. And it leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. What can the story of these empires, their amazing successes and their tragic failures, teach us about power, culture, and leadership in our own world today?